Hello, Carew and Nikki. Too bad you can't be here on this beautiful winter trek.
So Scott and I went snowshoeing today, and the video that I shot while we were doing that is a great excuse for me to talk in response to Karoo's video today. So that's my neighbor Scott, not my coworker Scott. So you're not confused. It's funny that you brought up to build a fire again, because as you can see, we were out snowshoeing and we just basically trekked. We found out there's a snow park up there and there's groomed cross country ski trails, but we just took off cross country with our snowshoes and had a really good time. We ended up hiking about 4.25 miles. It took us 3 hours, and the first 2/3 to 3/4 of it, we were just out breaking trail, or Scott was breaking trail and I was following him, and then uh, we got on one of the cross country ski trails to head back the last mile or so. But I did not, Karoo, I did not have any cotton on. I have all synthetics or wools. And yes, to build a fire, I actually put together a good survival kit that included a little some fire starter and various other things. So Scott and I actually were kind of talking about that as we hiked. So yeah, and you talked about one of the few last things you talked about in your videos, Karoo, was hiking on the river and the backwater, and it sounds like a lot of fun. Um, but Scott and I had a great time, and it was obviously beautiful, even though this video is pretty shaky and tough to see. So other things you talked about New Year's Eve. I'm glad you had a good time. I hope Nikki, I hope you had a great New Year's as well. We didn't do anything. My parents came down and we sat around and talked with my parents until around 10 o'clock and then went to bed. The fireworks woke me up at midnight. Um, but one of the things you were talking about, funerals and all that sort of thing. And I was thinking this time of year, New Year's, every year at this time of year, we should make a video, an If I Die This Year video, and figure out what we want to say and to have played at our funeral if you die this year. And I think that should become a New Year's tradition. Every New Year's, you make a video that's the If I Die This Year video. Um, so I'd like to actually talk about that. And if you guys have any ideas, I think it would be fun to do. Karoo, you talked about celebrating Christmas. Nikki, you asked about it, and I didn't respond because I'm not a good person. Um, yeah, Karoo's going to hell for celebrating Christmas. That's all I've got to say. Thanks. Karoo, swimming 1,000 yards, or 10,000 yards, excuse me. Sounds like you had a really good time doing that, and I'm glad you did. I'm glad you challenged yourself with the youngsters. That sounded like a lot of fun as well. Um, so the last note I have here is about steampunking your your shop. That looks like fun. You're making stuff, you're being creative. And I always tell my kids, if you're being creative, you've got to create something that is a product that's going to last afterwards. And you should develop your joy from that. So that's why I make this video of me hiking in the snow. By the way, this is my first time snowshoeing ever. And it was hard work. I've been working out. You were talking about your workout schedule, and I can't remember if I've talked about this. I probably have, but about 2 months ago, maybe a little longer, I just decided I needed to work out more consistently. So I just used that exercise machine, but I've been working out for a full hour every morning, and I set it to the highest resistance possible. And I've noticed a real improvement, not surprisingly, in my cardiovascular conditioning. So when I went out and hiked with Scott, I didn't work out a full hour this morning before I went to Scott because I actually didn't have time. So I just did a half an hour or 35 minutes at full resistance. And Sarah was actually worried about me going out and snowshoeing. It was more work and it was different work. Like I said, it was 3 hours hiking around like this, but it was really fun. and it was so beautiful up there. Now, I didn't take any video on the groomed trails, and we ran into a lot of people. We probably ran into 15 people who were cross country skiing on the groomed trails, which was we kind of like, Scott and I agreed we liked being out, kind of breaking trail instead. At the same time, it was difficult at times, and Scott's snowshoes were much larger than mine, which kept him up on top of the snow better than mine did. Actually, it's funny because he's bigger than me, but I outweigh him by probably 10 pounds. So it was tough. So yeah, we had a good time and enjoyed the weather and everything. And it was a little sunny and it was beautiful. So that was my hiking experience. We had a great time. I hope you guys are doing well. Enjoy the Seahawks run. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Take care, guys. Scott taking off his snowshoes if we survived the great adventure.
It was touch and go.
It was touch and go, but we made it.
It's harder for me because I went a little bit farther than Dan did.
But I burned more calories.